The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Issues of the day under T-Radar.
From Wellington once again, T-Radar joins us. G'day there, T-Radar.
Well, hello.
And you sound like you're at the end of a long, arduous tour around the country.
I am. Well, yes, and home, back to Auckland this week, and then away down to Dunedin again next week, so it's ongoing. But I stayed up and watched a bit of the Commonwealth Games last night, because I thought, well, someone has to.
Because no one else is.
I'll tell you what, I was watching some of the gymnastics, and just this, I thought, here you are, the Commonwealth Games, one of the highlights of your sporting career, performing in a stadium, enormous stadium, to empty seats.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands and thousands, banks of empty seats. They weren't sort of showing them, but you could certainly see them in the background, and you thought, Jesus, no one there. And you could hear the crowd. There'd be, someone would come out, and there'd be sort of four people go, yay. Terrible.
A little Mexican wave?
Yes, exactly. And you kind of wonder, what do they bank on, the fact that there's people all over the world watching it on telly, or, surely ticket sales, and how do you get inspired to pull out some kind of incredible performance in an empty venue?
Well, there's that, but how do you get inspired to be a spectator when, in order to get into the venue, you'd have to get felt up a dozen times or so?
Well, every cloud has a silver lining, I suppose. At least you'd be safe, and you've had a bit of a sort of perfunctory groping.
That's one way of looking at it.
Because it's the world we live in. But yes, it is absolutely astounding. I wonder if there's a lot of empty hotels and various things over there for one reason or another, but it's all symptomatic of the terrible times.
It just seems like I don't know what they'll have to rename these particular games. I mean, everything's just such a massive effort. It just seems like, this is so hard to do.
It is, it just seems to be slightly problematic, and we'll have to wait for Paul Henry to comment on that, I imagine. But at the end of the day, and also, watching the athletes and thinking, because yesterday there was a cavalcade of nothingness for us. We didn't win anything, and you think, useless, didn't win anything. But then, you'd only have 3 winners per event, I suppose. Everyone else is sort of an afterthought, and all that time, all of that effort, all that struggle, all those early mornings, all those gymnasium sessions.
Yeah.
Is it worth
for
it,
what?
actually?
Wasted. What a wasted time.
So that cynics like you and I can sit there and go, cavalcade of nothing.
Useless. Yeah.
Well, the jury's out on that one, I suspect.
Hey, staying with sporting stuff, in Dunedin, aren't they building a new stadium in Dunedin at the moment?
Yes, they are. And it's very controversial. It has been down there as well, but one of the many new rugby stadiums for the World Cup. It strikes me that if you're going to be embarking on such an enormous project as this in an area that's full of students who are notorious for sort of being scallywags, you want to have some good security, but clearly they don't. They had a series of bizarre incidents here, including some people driving cranes around during the night.
As you do.
As you do. There's all those young minds clearly looking and thinking, hey, let's see if we can't sort of sneak in here and have some hijinks and some pranks. So yesterday, I think, was one of the big sort of cranes, which even had a piece of the roof truss attached. Someone got on and drove that around.
A piece of roof, so you can imagine, so at 5 o'clock the whistle went, or the big hooter, like on the Flintstones, and so he was halfway through putting the truss down, and no, he's out of the crane and gone. Left the keys in, obviously.
Well, exactly. Someone's just gone, no, that's it, we're gone, we're out of here, it's time for dinner and a bit of a beer, and someone else has snuck in and gone, what I've always wanted to do, drive a crane.
Yeah.
Or perhaps they thought that maybe it was busy little elves thinking, oh, geez, the stadium's behind schedule, we'd better get in there and give them a bit of a hand.
Well, that's how roadworks. That's how roadworks is done all around New Zealand.
Exactly.
Busy
little elves, particularly down here in Wellington, they're all out at night, and you can get up in the morning and they've all gone again.
Yeah.
Quite something.
I mean, if you hopped into the cockpit of a crane, would you have any idea what to do? I wouldn't know. I mean, imagine the array of dials and knobs and things you could press and pull and tug.
Yeah, well, particularly these days, it's all, you don't have your big levers, you generally have a little joystick, and I suppose you'd just give that a bit of a wiggle until something started to happen.
I guess so. Yeah, it'd be very...
That's assuming you can figure out how to turn it on.
Yeah, well, there's that as well.
Yeah, not easy.
Not easy at all. What also hasn't been easy is Phil Goff's time with Chris Carter and trying to oust this chap. He's still sticking around.
Still sticking around, still claiming to be a Labour candidate and running for Te Atatu. And he's come out recently, and this is something I'm very much looking forward to, a tell-all book,
Ooh.
The Carter Years, or whatever it may be called. And there's been various wags about on the interwebs attempting to come up with sort of names that they may think he'll do this, but he's threatening to write this book and release it sort of before the election next year, which many people think is just sort of an attempt to scuttle the Phil Goff potential regime. But so I suspect it will be a judiciously selected and edited version of one person's truth, which all political books are. But hard to know whether it'd be a big seller, whether there'll be any real scandal from the 9 years of the Helen Clark regime, because very much a sort of a favoured lackey of Clark. I can't imagine he's going to come out and dish the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, what's he going to say about Helen? I mean, I think they were good friends.
Yes, they're very
over
good
that
friends.
time, so he's hardly going to dish any dirt there.
Hardly not. He's going to say she was very nice to me and allowed me to have a wonderful portfolio where I travelled the world doing the best I could for New Zealanders.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be a travel book.
It could be a travel book. Chris Carter's Guide to Travelling as a Cabinet Minister.
Chris Carter's Lonely Post.
That's very good.
Mm.
They may actually steal that. They are probably looking for a title.
He can have that.
You can. We'll send him a tweet or something like that, let him know.
Yeah. Hey, one of the other issues this week has been some of the changes to the rules for jury duty. I've never been asked, never been called up.
Oh, I was called up once and I had to send them a letter and say, sorry, I couldn't do it. I had a whole lot of shows on, and I thought, I can't really get someone else to do them.
But also, right, if you did turn up and you did be on the jury, wouldn't you just be like a little bit distracting? Because everyone would be going, oh, look, isn't that T-Radar over there in the jury?
Yes, and they'd be looking to when I nodded sagely or when I sort of sat back in the chair and went, or shook my head with casual disdain and went, no. Yes, I'd like to think that you'd think, oh, would I be that powerful on a jury? I suspect probably it would be a little bit distracting for a while, but, the jury of your peers these days isn't really so much a jury of your peers, it's more the sort of the unemployed and the elderly, apparently, on jury duties, and so more of us need to do our bit. 321,832 people summoned for jury service last year. 199,760 excused from attending, and another 67,938 just didn't bother to turn up.
Isn't the problem that that we're not paid enough to be on jury duty?
I think that is right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you actually end up losing money by doing it.
Yeah, you do. And I think this is going to be something coming out for the self-employed, such as myself. But what they're saying now is that if you're called up and it's not convenient, then you've got 12 months to find another more convenient time. And, I guess most of the times it doesn't go that fast, but some trials go for sort of 6, 7, 8 weeks. Not all the time. Imagine getting on one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible criminal. And I'm not very good with decision-making. I don't like judging.
No.
In talent quests or anything like that. God, what would I be like on a jury?
I don't like conflict.
No.
I try to avoid that.
Yeah. You look at them and you think, the evidence may be this or that, but they just...
Is that a good enough response on a letter? Sorry, don't like conflict.
Don't know. Should be. Don't like conflict, don't like, having to make myself heard. I always get talked down, and I don't think I'd be able to stand up for myself on the panel. I'd be a bit because you can right to say, look, I think I'd be a bit overbearing. I don't like criminals, and if the police have said they're guilty, then as far as I'm concerned, they're guilty. You've got to know that there are people like that on a jury.
Indeed, T-Radar. You have a good drive back home today.
I shall not judge. That is exactly right. We'll speak again next week.
Will do. See ya.
All right.